this week's market discussion. Let's start with the overall market performance with Ms. Dineshi Agarwal. The all share price index declined by 1.68% to close at 21,405.41. Meanwhile, the S&P SL index fell by 1.29%, ending the week 6,003.82. What were the main reasons behind this market decline?
Yes, Maya. So the market experienced a broad-based correction this week after the strong rally seen in previous week. Investors were mainly engaged in profit taking, especially in large cap counters. Although the indices declined, there was no major negative economic event driven the market lower. Instead, investors remained selective while waiting for fresh market catalysts. Overall sentiment was cautious but still relatively stable.
Okay. Looking at the market activity, the total weekly turnover was 5.56 billion, while crossings amounted to 1.16 billion rupees, accounting for around 21% of total turnover. How do you interpret this trading activity?
Yes, if compared with recent weeks, the turnover was lower, indicating reduced investor participation. However, crossing contributed around 1/5 of total turnover, showed that institutional investors continue to execute negotiated trade. At the same time, retail investors remain cautious, leading to relatively light market activity during the week.
Moving to the fixed income market, the government offered 150 billion through treasury bonds. The auction was well received with 362.6 billion rupees in bid submitted, while the entire 150 billion rupees offered was accepted. However, yield increased across all maturities. What does this tell us?
Yes, Maya, the strong demand shows that investors remain confident in long-term government securities. Even though demand was high, the increases in yield indicates that investors required higher required rate of holding return for the long-term bonds. This reflects change in market expectation on future interest rates and inflation while maintaining healthy investor appetite.
Okay, Dineshi. Now let's look at the treasury bills. The government offered 120 billion rupees, received bids worth 333.9 billion and accepted the full amount. The 3 months, 6 month and the 12-month yield are declined by 0.08%, 0.03% and 0.01% respectively. What does this suggest?
Yes, Simaya. So when it comes to the short-term government security market, the fall in treasury bill yields indicates improving liquidity and strong investor demand for short-term government securities. Lower short-term yield generally suggests that investors expect policy rates to remain stable or gradual decline in the coming months. Overall, this is a positive signal for the short-term interest rate environment in the country.
Okay, let's move to the manufacturing PMI. The manufacturing PMI stood at 53 in June month, compared with the 56.6 in May. Although it declined, it remains above the 50-point benchmark. How should investors read this?
Yes, PMI is a good indicator which shows the manufacturing activities in the country. So when it comes to the PMI, above 50 means that manufacturing sector is still expanding. While growth showed compared to May, production, employment and purchasing activity continued to improve. New order remains around the neutral level and showing demand and moderate, but overall manufacturing activities are still growing in the country.
Okay. Turning to the service sector, the service PMI improved from 56.9 to 58.5 in June. New businesses increased to 62.5, employment improved to 54 and business expectation rose to 72.7. What does this indicate?
Yes, service sector PMI also another good indicator showing that how the Sri Lankan service sector is performing. So when it comes to the service sector, continue to strengthen during June. We saw that as per the result published by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. So higher business activities and strong expectations suggest improving demand across activities such as trade, tourism, transportation and financial services. Rising employment also reflecting growing business confidence, making the service sector one of the stronger contributors to economic growth.
Okay. Finally, based on everything we discussed, how would you describe this week's overall market behavior?
Yes, Imai, the market had a caution week. Equity indices declined due to the profit taking and lower trading activity, but there were encouraging signs from the broad economy. Treasury bill demand remained strong with declining short-term yields. The Treasury bond auction, yes, Imai, the market had a caution week. Equity indices declined due to the profit taking and lower trading activity, but there were encouraging signs from the broad economy. Treasury bill demand remained strong with declining short-term yields. The Treasury bond auction attracted healthy investor interest despite higher yield, and both manufacturing and service PMI stayed above the 50-point mark. It's confirming continued economic expansion in the country.
Discussion. Okay, thank you for your valuable insight, Ms. Dinushi. And that concludes this week's market discussions. We will continue to monitor market development and bring you the latest updates next week. Thank you for watching and stay tuned with Selfie Research.